Every day, millions of people ruin their own lives. That is the type of hopeful content for which you come to Strip Cover Lit. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we're here for another poetry discussion, which will appear, of course, in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. Now cruising towards 700 videos strong. I deign to imply no one else has 700 plus videos on poetry on YouTube. I dare to say it. Now, the poem in question today is known as The House on the Hill by Edwin Arlington Robinson. I always trip up on his name. And it reads as such. They are all gone away. The house is shut and still. There is nothing more to say. Through broken walls and gray the windows, the winds blow bleak and shrill. They are all gone away, nor is there one today to speak to them, good or ill. There is nothing more to say. Why is it then we stray around the sunken sill? They are all gone away. And our poor fancy play for them is wasted skill. There is nothing more to say. There is ruin and decay in the house on the hill. They are all gone away. There is nothing more to say. So, the obvious place we might want to start with this poem is by asking what it is that we're looking at. So, I went and I stole this from Wikipedia. This is a villanelle. I cannot speak today for some reason. A villanelle, also known as a villanesque, is a 19-line poetic form consisting of 5 tercets followed by a quatrain. There are 2 refrains and 2 repeating rhymes, with the first and third lines of the first tercet repeated alternately at the end of each subsequent stanza until the last stanza, which includes both repeated lines. The villanelle is an example of a fixed verse poem. The word derives from Latin, then Italian, and is related to the initial subject of the form, being the pastoral. The form started as a simple ballad-like song with no fixed form. This fixed quality would only come much later from the poem Villanelle, J'ai perdu ma tortillelle, 1606, but you didn't know that I knew Japanese, did you? 1606 by Jean Passerat. From this point, its evolution into the fixed form used in the present day is debated. Despite its French origins, the majority of villanelles have been written in English. It's a bastard type of a poem, a trend which began in the late 19th century. The villanelle has been noted as a form that frequently treats the subject of the obsessions and one which appeals to outsiders. Its defining feature of repetition prevents it from having a conventional tone. Now, it is not difficult to write a villanelle. It is difficult to write a villanelle that makes any damn sense. So we go back up here. They are all gone away. 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 Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 times that line appears. There is nothing more to say. 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 So those lines repeat here and make things difficult to keep on the same track. That is what the entry from Wikipedia was talking about, saying that the repeating lines often prevent the poem from having a conventional tone. This tone, the tone to this poem, is not conventional. It's maybe sort of spooky, right? So, what are we looking at here? Well, I want to take you one other place just real quickly. And if you've spent any amount of time on the channel, it's not really going to be that big of a surprise. So we have a poem called The House on the Hill by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Here is the opening paragraph from The House on Haunted Hill or The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Even larks and katydids are supposed by some to dream. Hill House, not sane, stood by itself against the hills, holding darkness within. It had stood for 80 years and might stand for 80 more. Within, walls continued upright, bricks met neatly, floors were firm, and doors were sensibly shut. Silence lay steadily against the wood and stone of Hill House, and whatever walked there walked alone. These are not terribly different scenarios, are they? There is a house, it is on a hill, it is abandoned, it is kind of creepy. So that's what we have in the House on the Hill from Robinson as well. But here's what I want to talk about. So this is a very bleak scene, right? Of an abandoned house in tatters. What does a house represent? Shelter, protection, right? Those things are similar, maybe the same, shelter and protection, though not synonymous. It also represents family. It's what lives in the house. So, shelter and family. This house represents neither of those things. Or, I suppose we should say, no longer represents either of those things. And we have to ask, what happened here? What happened with this house on the hill? Why is it in such disrepair? Why is there no family there? Both things that this house should represent are absent from it. I think you are left to draw the conclusion that this is a story of neglect. You don't take care of the house, it breaks down. Is the same true for your family? Have you left your family on autopilot for too long? The house requires physical labor with a sprinkle of foresight on top. A family requires foresight with probably a sprinkle of physical labor on top. So these things, they probably decline at different rates, but neglect will get both of them the same place. soon enough, that place in disrepair, that place in absence, that place derelict. It makes me wonder if it is through neglect that most of us who ruin our lives do so. How often have you heard, well, I woke up and I was 40. I woke up and all of a sudden realized that the rest of my life was going to look like the part of my life I had already lived, and that was unacceptable. I had a midlife crisis, right? This happens through neglect. It's the only way this happens, through neglect. Not through mindfulness, not through presentness, not through any of the myriad other mistakes that you can make along the way. You don't wake up one day with everything in the pot without neglect being a meaningful contributor to that disarray. I think we are all there at some point in our lives. Is there any way that we can stop that from ourselves? Any way that we can keep ourselves from, with some function of life, career, family, personal life, whatever it is, the goals that you had set out? How many of us are exactly where it is that we planned to be, or ahead of there? I don't know anyone. As sobering as perhaps this discussion has been, that is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate the sort of thing that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.